Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm a student of Bhante Chandana. Bhante is a wandering monk, and at the moment, he doesn't have a permanent home or a monastery. So he depends on the donation and generosity from his students and supporters. So if you find any of his videos helpful or beneficial to you and the people you know, please consider making a donation to him at the link below. Thank you so much and have a good day.
It is natural to want to escape pain, escape suffering, to run away from a place, a situation where you know there is injustice, you know there is unfair treatment of yourself or those you care about. It is natural for us to at least not continue living in a place, in a situation where it is not giving us comfort. All beings strive for that, but that has also been or become our yoke. We have that shackle. We're chained at the neck, at the limbs, with wanting to run from this place that is intolerable, that is difficult to bear, if not impossible, to that one over there where there isn't this. This is a natural, I would say instinct. A drive with which we must, as all beings, I mean, you could look at a monera or a single-celled organism, and it also looks for comfort. That's why it goes out looking for food. Tiny little bacteria. How about a multicellular organism? We're always trying to not be in suffering. And that entails going out to a place where there isn't the suffering. Now, living in this world today, this is really pronounced, of course, given the world situation. We want to fix things. We want to not have something persist, something that is unpleasant, at least unpleasant for us. So the uncultured, uncivilized group of us will say, I want my comfort at the cost of yours, meaning you need to disappear, or those people over there should not exist, and we should go and take that thing from them, the land, the air, the water, everything. We want you to be obliterated, okay? And then I'm going to feel good. This is pretty base, this is pretty low-born, this is pretty, backwards, uncivilized. Even animals don't have that. A lion, when it runs after a hog, a wild hog to eat it. It doesn't say, I want you all dead. I want all what your species represents dead, gone. No. Nature has a balance. Plus, it needs to eat food. So, human beings, we have I don't want to use the word special, but we have this drive to maintain and sustain our ignorance through arrogance. And what that forms into is violence. But there's something underneath it all that's still running the show, and that is our desire to move from a state of discomfort to comfort. That is where the delusion lies. Because the true prison is not seen. It's not made up of 4 walls, or 6 walls, depending on how you look at it. We always presume that there is that other place. For example, many people want or consider life here on this planet to be destined for doom, to be destroyed. So they look at other planets, or they're trying to spend so much money, or or at least visualize or pray for another realm of existence, such as, and you see this in most religions, heaven, or what lies after death. And then we start to create decorated sceneries in our mind pertaining to this realm, or these heavens. Now, in the case of Buddhism, we have the teachings tell us how there are the 31 realms of existence, realms of existence. There's 4 beneath the human realm, below the human realm. Those are called the woeful or miserable planes of existence, of which hell is the worst. And these are not metaphorical, these are not just symbolic or something like that. And I've mentioned this in many other talks. But then you have the 5th realm, which is us, and then you have above us the remaining of the 31 layers of existence. Above us are heavenly realms, etc. You go up. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because many people, Buddhist or otherwise, Buddhist or those belonging to Abrahamic religions, such as Judaism or Christianity, Islam, as well as in Hinduism and other traditions, there is this longing to eventually leave this place and go to a realm that is empty of suffering, empty of pain, empty of discontent. Now, fortunately for us, the Buddha has explained, and not just him, when you develop your meditation practice in a steady way, progressively, going gradually up the, in your practice, stage by stage, if that is something that you desire in your heart to know, these things reveal themselves. There's no secret. There is no secret in Buddhism. Lord Buddha taught with both hands open, as they say, without hiding anything behind his back or with an empty fist. No, none of that. This is all, available. But especially these statements really become valuable to oneself when you have yourself seen it and experienced it. And that's what I mean by it is no secret. Instead of just relying on, let's say, the Buddha's words or his senior monks who were able to do that, and not just them, but through the centuries. Anyhow, running away from this plane to other planes of existence. Lord Buddha, throughout the text, mentions how there are no realms where there is absolute bliss. There are no realms where there is just peace without any fluctuations of strife coming in every once in a while. Right now, here, if you are born in, let's say, or if you are in a certain part of the world where there is war going on, or poverty, injustice, inhumane treatment of you, your family, your culture, you can consider that to be on the grosser level of things. It's very tangible, it's very bitter, it's very bad, it's very painful. Now, you take that to a realm, a higher realm, let's say even a Brahma realm, which, if you go to India, let's say, or in the Hindu culture, or even in some Buddhist traditions, you see them worshipping Brahma. You see them doing pujas and ceremonies and rites and rituals to appease, to basically beg for for themselves to be reborn in that realm once this body is no more. And in many cases, people are, nowadays especially, are eager to leave this body, eager to leave this world. And in a way you can understand and appreciate why a person wants to now, right? I get that. But the danger is in thinking that that is the solution. The Dhamma, or the teachings of Lord Buddha, proper, when you go back to the roots, go back to the original teachings of the Buddha with all those other extra bells and whistles that different cultures have added, different traditions, especially the passage of time and the ignorance, layers of thick dust of ignorance that has come and layered itself, caked it. When you remove all that junk and you go back to the original teachings that we find in the Pali texts, the Theravada tradition, you see that Lord Buddha constantly urges practitioners to leave the 31 layers of existence entirely, to cut themselves loose entirely, come out of prison entirely. And that means to get out of samsara, the cycle of rebirth. Why though? Why would you not want to go to a Brahmaram, or at least the layer above us, which is the Chatumahara Rajika heaven, which is the realm of the four guardian kings. That's the main notable layer above us, even though there's like sub-layers of earth devas and things. But that's the big one next, up the stage above a human. Why would you not want to go at least to that realm? People have said. Well, because they still have jealousy. They still have delusion, hatred. They still have lust, greed. You go up even higher levels, 16 layers of that, and you're still in the sensuality. Realms where they deal with sensuality. There's cheating going on. Did you know that? devas cheat on each other. Some, just like people do. There are realms even higher than those where they are stealing from each other. Devas, imagine that. People go and worship. Some of them you don't, it's unidentifiable, but when you go to a Christian church, let's say, somewhere, or people have seen visions, etc., if they are authentic, and it's not just a creation of the mind of the person, or they call them angels and things. These might be devas, but because of the light and all that, all these radiance and luminance and all that, people immediately consider that the opposite of everything that is evil, the opposite of everything that is unwholesome. Well, not necessarily. You have many examples of devas coming and trying to seduce. Yes, seduce monastics who are diligently practicing. Try to get them out of the path. So Venerable Samiti is one, where he was a newly ordained monk. And you have a beautiful deva coming up to him early in the morning when he's when he's bathing in the hot springs. It's early, the sun is not up yet. It's about to. And the deva starts to kind of use poetic language and say, "Oh, you're so young, you're in the prime of youth. You haven't even tasted life. Why are you even in robes, why are you a recluse? You're depriving yourself of life. This is so stupid of you to be a monk. No, you should go, enjoy. Revealing herself to him. The glory that a deva has, and the ugliest deva is going to be incalculably or immeasurably more beautiful than the most beautiful, let's say, in case of a female, Miss Universe. That would be Miss Universe. Otherwise, then it's a misnomer that they would have. I remember when I was a kid, my sister and mom would watch those annual or yearly shows of Miss Universe contests or whatever nonsense. They are basically like a nasty pimple on the skin of a crow or the beak of a crow, as Lord Buddha would say, compared to a deva, even the ugliest, quote-unquote, deva. So you have somebody like that seducing. Who does that? Someone who is very much attached to sensuality. Somebody who's very much coming from a place of ignorance, at least. And of course you have other beings who go even further than that. By controlling. Mara, for example, belongs to one of those realms, and people are surprised. I was surprised when years ago I was taught that. I was actually came across that in the suttas, and I asked around, and that's what my teachers were also validating. And I was like, whoa, but why? How come? Because I believed that if you are part of the heavenly realm, you've passed this human realm, all the evil, all the nastiness, all the wars, this, that, you leave it all behind. And you evolve, right? You have this talk nowadays in the West where a lot of people, especially these new agey schools of thought that are coming up, they talk about ascension. Well, if you're ascending, there's also descending, okay? So long as you have not conquered ignorance, you have not passed beyond the point of no return, which means you have seen the Dhamma, you have seen the nature of existence, meaning existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, that even the highest layers of heavenly realms, those so-called gods that many billions of people worship today in one form, or the other, even those gods have an expiration date. I know for them it's blasphemy. I know for some Buddhists it's blasphemy because they've even turned Lord Buddha into a god. I have to correct them oftentimes when they ask questions. Many people don't like that because they want to crystallize, they want to create a statue of this entity, of this thing that is unchanging, which is a basic indicator of ignorance. And this is what Lord Buddha came to also do. He shocked the Indian subcontinent of all the Vedic or Upanishadic theories of God and Brahma and Mahabrahma and Atman, or the great soul, unchanging, this and that, all that. He showed them, he proved to them that it is impermanent. And whatever is impermanent, whatever is anicca, is also dukkha, is also suffering. What do you mean to say? Suffering in the heavenly realms? That's what I'm saying, not just me. And not just in the suttas. You practice this and you see this. In meditation it becomes clear to you. You see these things. But you don't have to even get to that level. You can just look at a life of a very, very wealthy person that you come across on the news. You pick somebody very rich, who comes to mind? Warren Buffett, who else? I mean, there's so many. Giorgio Armani, who else? Famous people, actors. Elon Musk, okay. You look at Elon Musk's body, his face, and you look at him compared to 20 years ago. You look at the way he speaks. He has worries, you know. He has concerns. He has children. If anything happens to any of his children, what do you think is going to happen to him? He's not going to be affected by it? Or even the worst people in the world, the ones who are running the show, call it cabal, call it, New World Order advocates, all these people that are talking about, climate change, this, that, globalization, they're all trying to control the world to put them into a bottleneck so they're easily controllable, squeezing them into cities away from nature, away from taking care of themselves, away from that so that you're completely dependent on them. All these bankers, pick anyone and compare them to a person who's in absolute misery. Well, that's, to me, very similar to making a comparison with a human realm and a heavenly realm. But is there pain? Let's say the drug addict in San Francisco, somebody who's out on the streets, who used to be fine, who used to be a good, person living in, working, feeling like they're contributing to society, and now they're drug addicts, lost their home, lost everything because of the system. That's what it's designed to do. Nowadays, talk about a corrupt world. Absolute misery. Sleeps in his own feces. That person and what they're going through, and a person, let's say the head of BlackRock, right? The big company of, investment, whatever, that owns about, I think, most of the money in the world, basically. They both have ignorance in their hearts. They both have desires in their hearts. They both have hatred in their hearts. Now, the target of those things might be different, but they nevertheless can serve a purpose of showing you the comparison between a heavenly realm and an earthly, the realm that we're on. So please don't, just brush this off or just, shrug it. You just shun it as like, yeah, no, I don't believe in that kind of realms. No, you have already plenty of evidence around you. But this is also especially for individuals who want to reach a state of peace and liberation and freedom from the oppression that they're seeing on the human realm, on the plane of, globally and in the world. And it's understandable. Of course, no one wants to stay in a discomforting, painful situation. Of course. Of course. But be careful when you're wanting to jump out of this realm and want to go to the better, quote unquote, the other. Because even if we have a world where there's peace, of course it's going to be a million times better, where there's no war, that's beautiful, where there's no injustice, and that's what we want, of course. And that's what we need to be working towards, harmoniously. And that comes through practicing of ethics, purifying the mind, giving things to people, helping people experience good things that we want to experience as well. So that's going to make this world as close to a heavenly realm as possible. But what I'm trying to say is, that's not going to get us out of the prison, okay? Because the prison that we are in, the bars, the invisible bars, are the sixth sense doors. That's what I'm trying to get to explain. The six senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. These six are always bringing in information from the outside world in the form of pleasant, beautiful sights. That's what we want, and we don't want the ugly sights, things that are displeasing, that we dislike. We're shunning those out. But that creates friction, that creates heat, that creates what? Agitation in the heart, in the mind. So now we want to run away from this to that. The same thing with the ears. We're liking the pleasurable, lovely sounds, and we hate their opposite. Smells, the same thing. Touch, taste. We like to taste only what's lovely. We don't like to taste what is, well, something that we dislike. And same thing with the body, but especially with the mind. Concepts, things that don't agree with us. We get agitated. Look at somebody, two people going at each other on a debate panel. And the listeners. So you see a lot of commotion, a lot of anger. We try to maintain some civility, but guess what? If you put them in a Mongolian suit, like Genghis Khan era, or even, some back streets of somewhere, and where there's no cameras, no nothing, all of a sudden they're going to go at it, physically attack and assault each other. Why? Because that's what's generated. Hatred. Because I want to dominate you, you want to dominate me, I'm not going to let you, etc. It goes back and forth. It's like eye for an eye, and that's what we have in the world. But I wanted to address the bit because this keeps coming up with people talking about heavenly realms and heavenly realms, other places. We want to go into this other scenario, other alternative or parallel universe where there isn't this. Well, wherever you go, you're still going to be stuck in the 31 realms of existence, okay? And the Lord Buddha gives a beautiful example. He says, you need to be running out of samsara as a person whose hair is on fire, whose clothing is on fire. You don't have time to check your emails. You don't have time to check the furniture. You're burning. That is the level of urgency that he wanted to have students be filled with and take action accordingly by getting themselves out of samsara. Samsara is the cycle of rebirth. It's not the cycle of rebirth into the physical realm, into the material realm. No, All of it. Even Brahma is full of ignorance. The people that you go to parts of Asia that they're worshipping as Maha Brahma, God, Almighty God, capital letters A, capital G, even they will die. And they will be immediately replaced by another, of course. It's just like, think of it as a king, as a, recently the Queen of England died, and what happened? Shortly after, her son took over, right? The position, that is what God is, if you want. That's why Buddhism, we don't worship any gods. There is no such a thing as a god, and the Buddha is definitely not a god, even though many, many people have made him into one. But that tells you about the idiocy that human beings have, the conditioning that we want to have this sublime being out there. There is no such thing, because everything is transitory, everything is changing, including that position. Now it might take our time, on our time scale, it might be billions or maybe even trillions of years. For us it would look like infinity, but it's not infinity. It's not infinity. An ant's or a fruit fly's life span compared to ours is not even a minuscule moment in time. Ours to theirs compared, if you go and ask an ant, they will consider our normal average human lifespan as an infinity for them. This is the same thing. In essence, it's important to remember that even the 31 layers of existence. So imagine this human realm is one layer, right? And it's like a building with 31 floors. And you're running out of one of these floors because it's burning. Remember the guy running out of the door, running out of the gate, looking for the exit? Jumping, in fact, making a hole in the wall to get out of that floor. That realm is the human realm, and right now it's burning, especially now. So what people are doing is they're trying to run to the second floor, or the third, or the fifth, or even the 31 and 31st floor. But they don't realize that all of these floors are burning. All of samsara is burning. There's no safety in any of these floors. No safety whatsoever. And that's what Lord Buddha always urged. And he looked down upon, he chastised, he criticized anyone who would come, any one of his students, that is, who's a real practitioner, wanting to be reborn in any of these realms. Yes, the level of comfort is unimaginably higher and more than a human realm, yes, but sooner or later it ends. They also have defilements in their hearts, these devas. They have jealousies, they have hatred issues, they have anger issues. They might not resort to, despicable or gross means of expression that we we humans do, or lower beings than us do. Nevertheless, they do have them, and they do show them in different ways. So the point is to exit the whole building. And that is what we mean by an arahant. That is what we mean by a perfectly awakened one. That is what we mean by someone who has cut the ties to the six senses, meaning to be a captive to these six senses. That is the real reason why beings in the 31 realms of existence are stuck. Even Maha Brahma is stuck. Because sooner or later, remember what I said about the Brahma, the high eyes, Almighty God, whatever? When they fall, when they die, no one dies, ultimately. They transform, they get a different birth. This is something that a lot of people have a difficulty, especially those who believe in life after death. They have a difficulty conceptualizing the possibility that this Almighty God could fall and become a worm, could end up being your dog, or even worse, end up in hell. Because they just used up all their credit points. Meaning they're good, generous actions. They're good. That's why doing good deeds is wonderful, but it's not the end of the story, because you're just gaining credit. You're not becoming a higher being because of your good deeds. For that, you need to have not just virtuous lifestyle or ethical standards of living or generosity, which, by the way, these two will get you to those realms. Guaranteed. If you live life by holding yourself to these 5 precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in any sexual misconduct, not to lie. That's a big one. That's why most of the population of this planet today, unfortunately, many of us, many of the population of this earth will not, after death, will not move, most of them will not move to either, even not even a human realm, because the amount of lying that's going on, let alone the heavenly realm. So very few among us will, on their next rebirth, will go to the higher realms, even the next one. Majority of human beings are being reborn after this body is dead, breaks down. After death, they are being reborn in the hell realms, in the animal realms, in the ghost realms, miserable ghosts, because they're full of greed, unsatisfied greed. Their hearts are full of jealousy. And if you are the type where you're always having to deceive and lie and put up with lying and lie in turn as a response to a lie, a deception, you and the person who was lying to you and everyone else associated with that are going to hell. Lord Buddha is very clear on this. Whoever lies, is their next stop after this life is hell. If you engage in deception, any kind of deception, any kind of spreading falsehood, including those people who are advertising, including those people, even if you're, let's say, an actor, selling a product, a voice actor, actual, TV actor, a movie actor, selling something, a used car salesman, somebody who, though, that the product is not what you're claiming it to be. You are lying. You are spreading falsehood to gain something. That's lying, and that's sending you straight to hell. Especially these reporters, these politicians, of course, these religious leaders who keep lying through their teeth, wearing their different color robes, different religions. Lying, but claiming themselves to be saint-like, these higher beings that are controlling the minds and hearts of so many people. Majority of us will be headed to lower realms, unfortunately. Why? Because people are not practicing ethics and not believing in these principles that I'm sharing here. Does not make you immune. Simply because you don't believe it doesn't make you immune to these facts. Because you don't research these things, or they're foreign to you. Or they are unacceptable by you. You're an atheist, for example. For you, you're beyond any of this kind of, thinking. Afterlife, whatever, doesn't concern you because you don't believe in it. Well, it is irrelevant what you believe in. Whether you believe Fiji exists or not, whether the Atlantic Ocean exists or not, whether you've gone there, seen pictures, or not seen pictures, and not been interested in it, does not mean the Atlantic Ocean will stop being there simply because you don't believe in it. It is there. So the ignorance that we have is pretty pervasive, and it is dictating not just this life, but where we will end up. So ultimately, stop the rolling around, cycling through samsara. That is the message that Lord Buddha had, and that is what I'm trying to convey. There is no escape. There is no permanent, stable, unchanging state of freedom that once it's reached, you will fall out of. There isn't any such thing within the 31 realms of existence. But is there such freedom? Absolutely. That's why Lord Buddha taught for 45 years. Absolutely. The moment you relinquish your hold on the thing that you're holding on to, including the teachings, including some theory, already you're on the right path. There's a relief when you let go. There's a relief when you let go of your ignorance, with your anger, your hatred. That's why you have millions of people suffering around the world. Those are in the conflict and those outside wanting to have something to do with the conflict, say something about the conflict. Meanwhile, everybody's burning. The real change is not going to happen outside of you. It needs to happen. It must happen within us, because that's the exit of that building. In us, not outside, not in some heavenly realm or in the human.